Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Top 5. Top 5 is where I will take a specific professional wrestling topic and rank my top 5 occurrences for that topic. Here we will discuss the best wrestlers to hold the fourth spot of the Four Horsemen. Factions have been a mainstay in professional wrestling. The most noteworthy faction, in my opinion, is the Four Horsemen. J.J. Dillon managed Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard, who spent the most significant time in the group together. But they always had a difficult time in keeping it a four-man team. There always seemed to be a revolving door for that fourth spot. I will give you who I think were the best talents to occupy that spot, starting with number 5. We'll start with the man that first held the fourth spot in the Horsemen. Ole Anderson was the grizzled veteran and a founding member of the group. Just a few years prior to the formation of the Horsemen, Ole was one of the most heinous villains in Georgia Championship Wrestling, as well as the Mid-Atlantic area. His blood feuds with the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and Tommy Wildfire Rich as an individual, and programs with the Rock and Roll Express and Jack and Jerry Briscoe as a member of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew tag team with either Arn or Gene Anderson, cemented Ole as one of the most vicious heels in the business during the 1970s and 1980s. Ole was ousted from the Horsemen during an episode of WTBS World Championship Wrestling in early 1987. Tully Blanchard would make derogatory comments about Ole's commitment to the group. Ole had taken time off to help prepare his son for an amateur wrestling tournament and then witnessed the matches in person. Ole took exception to the Blanchard remarks and slugged him during an interview. To make matters worse, Ole would then strike J.J. Dillon when the manager attempted to cool the situation. Lex Luger, who was already an interim member, was given Ole's spot and became the Fourth Horseman. Number 5 was the first man to be the Fourth Horseman. Number 4 is the final man to hold that distinction. The man of 1,000 holds joined the final incarnation of the group in September 1998. He was a standout in the cruiserweight division and had begun to dabble into the United States title picture. His versatility and basic knowledge of an elaborate array of wrestling holds and maneuvers showed that he was tailor-made to be a horseman. Dean would join J.J. Dillon, Arn Anderson, Chris Benoit, and Steve Mongo McMichael for Ric Flair's celebratory return to WCW on the September 14th, 1998 episode of WCW Monday Nitro. The Four Horsemen vowed to put an end to Eric Bischoff and the New World Order, who they feuded with for the remainder of 1998. The Horsemen were disbanded for the final time due to Flair's corrupt actions as the on-air president of WCW. The Canadian Crippler was a member of several versions of the Horseman group. He held the fourth spot along with Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Brian Pillman when he joined in 1995. The Four Horsemen were involved in a feud with the Megamaniacs, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. The group was joined alongside Kevin Sullivan's Dungeon of Doom and called themselves the Alliance to End Hulkamania. Tensions would form between the two groups as Sullivan and Benoit engaged in a separate singles feud over the Horseman valet, Woman. Sullivan and Benoit would thrill WCW fans with their violent pay-per-view matches. The 1996 Great American Bash would see their match go all over the arena, including a men's restroom. Benoit would put an end to the feud by defeating Sullivan in a retirement match at the 1996 Bash at the Beach event. The Horsemen would temporarily go their separate ways soon after. The Total Package was made a full-fledged member of the Four Horsemen after the previously mentioned ousting of Ole Anderson in 1987. It didn't take long for Lex Luger to garner success as the fourth member. Lex would defeat Nikita Koloff for the United States Championship midway through the 1987 NWA Great American Bash Tour. Luger would take advantage of an injured neck that Koloff suffered in the War Games match that was the featured bout on the first night of the tour. Nikita was the victim of a spike pile driver from Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson during the War Games match. Koloff was ripe for the picking, and the Total Package won the title in a steel cage match with the aid of a chair that was provided by J.J. Dillon. The seeds for Lex's Horseman departure were planted during Luger's United States title steel cage loss to Dusty Rhodes at Starrcade 87. A similar scenario to the one where Luger won the U.S. title unfolded. Lex had the match in hand when J.J. Dillon tossed a chair into the cage. The chair landed on the mat, and when Lex went to pick it up, he suffered a DDT from Rhodes on that same chair. 3 seconds later, the Total Package was a former United States champion. The split from the group became official during a qualifying match for entry into the Bunkhouse Stampede Steel Cage Battle Royal. Luger, along with Four Horsemen members Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and J.J. Dillon, were the final four wrestlers in the ring as they had teamed together to eliminate all of the other competitors. The revelation of actually winning and qualifying for the massive Bunkhouse Stampede payday entered the mind of Dillon. The manager swayed Anderson and Blanchard to sacrifice themselves out of the ring. When trying to convince the Total Package, Luger showed how much he disagreed and would fling JJ over the top rope. Anderson and Blanchard would re-enter the ring and subject Lex to a beating that confirmed the breakup of the group. The Horsemen wouldn't be one man short for long. Not much of an argument can be made when you consider the greatest foursome of the Horsemen. Many experts, as well as Ric Flair himself, have stated that the best tandem was the Nature Boy, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Barry Windham. WWE thought so as well when this was the group that was inducted into the Hall of Fame under the Four Horsemen banner. This specific group were the only iteration of the Horsemen to simultaneously hold the NWA World title, United States title, and the NWA World Tag Team Championship. After years of fighting against the villain group, Barry Windham was manipulated by circumstances and he chose to join the Four Horsemen in the spring of 1988. Windham and the recently ousted Horseman Lex Luger defeated Blanchard and Anderson for the NWA World Tag Team titles during the live WTBS broadcast of the first Clash of the Champions. During the rematch for the belts, Wyndham would turn on his partner and fill the fourth spot. I went into detail with this situation in a previous Top 5 video called Heel Turns That No One Saw Coming, so I won't do it again here. Not long after Barry became a member, he would capture the United States Championship in a tournament for the vacant title. His most memorable defense of the belt would be against his longtime mentor and former U.S. champion, Dusty Rhodes, at the 1988 Great American Bash. Wyndham would be a significant member until the depleted group was disbanded in 1989 after the NWA departures of Anderson, Blanchard, and J.J. Dillon. So there you have it. This is my list of the top 5 men to hold the fourth spot in the Four Horsemen. This list will probably start some arguments as opposed to ending them. As I always say, this is my opinion. So, this is my top 5. What's yours?